Does this look familiar to you? Have you perhaps had some shoulder issues, or are you doing this in order to prevent your shoulder issues? You know, I'm pretty sure that if you've experienced some issues with your shoulder, you most likely, let me know if am I right? You went to the Google search, you typed in shoulder pain, the first things that most often come out is rotator cuff, the most common stuff that are recommended for people to do. So perhaps you have injured your shoulder, perhaps you have suffered for a long time of it, because I know I have had a lot of pain here in different positions. For example, now no more because I learned how to fix my shoulders. This was one of those things that also helped, using actually, you know, rotating or doing these exercises or learning to do them actually correctly. Most people, how do we do shoulder exercises? It's like this way. Does this also look familiar to you, right? So doing rotator cuff exercises, oftentimes the reason why it even helps is because you stop doing exercises in like this kind of manner. And for the first time ever in any shoulder exercise, you start to utilize control because your body told you something's wrong. You felt like a pain there. So what did you think in that moment? Were you like, well, I gotta just keep on throwing? Or did you think that maybe I need to refine my training a bit? Maybe I need to start to think a little bit more. What am I doing with my body? So taking this, for example, here, look, this is actually rule number 1. Don't use too heavy weights. This is 2.5 kilo. I can do the exercise with this, but I can also do the exercise with this with as good results. And I can even do the exercise with this, no weights at all, and get amazing results because I know actually how to control that shoulder area. Because most people actually don't even know what is the correct rotation. They think that it's this, my arm is here and then my arm is there, and that's the rotation. But to be honest, what's this? Watch this here, very clearly. You can even see it actually from like this way. What I sometimes, we did a video once, these are still rotations of the shoulder, pure shoulder rotation. Look, internal rotation, external rotation, internal, external, and what's this? It's quite different to this, if you can see the difference. What am I doing here? I'm just shrugging my shoulder. And this is often a very common mistake that people are doing when they rotate the cuff. I'm not sure, you can check, like, what you need to do is to check yourself from the mirror and see, like, how are you actually doing this? Number one thing is to be able to separate between shoulder rotation and your scapular, essentially shrugging or downward upward rotation. If this is not fixed, then you can never properly target that shoulder area. That's number one that you gotta try. And after you figure that out, you may realize that this actual pure rotation from your shoulder, whether it's internal or whether it's external, is incredibly weak. Where we find out that very small weights are actually useful because these small weights allow you to do this exercise properly, right? So you can see the difference. I get more range, but what I'm doing is I'm not properly using those muscles to do, or the smaller rotator cuff muscles that I would like to be training. I'm not using those. Same thing, if you try this out yourself, even video yourself to see it, and you now try this difference, like you need to try this difference by yourself. Even right now you might notice that it's incredibly hard to sometimes keep that shoulder blade still. So, but there's a good point in that, because most people think they're just training the rotator cuff. If you do this exercise properly, you're gonna be training host of muscles surrounding the actual shoulder. The shoulder health is not just about the rotator cuff. See, in order to even train the rotator cuff, everything else in that shoulder girdle, the muscles on your chest, the serratus, straps and everything, that has to be actually working. And more to that, holding your arm here is going to train that lateral deltoid. But look, this is only one angle. You need, if you really want the perfect results for your rotator cuff, like, you can come down here. There's, I don't need that, but there's these angles, right? I can train it here. It's really amazing. I can do different holds. This is very commonly used as well, and this really often people let this happen, and they're pulling it essentially with some like utilizing almost like their lat muscle to do this exercise. There's so many angles to do this, so many angles to also do it in a wrong manner. See, going back to the beginning, let's go up, is that this exercise, it only works if you do it really well. And that's really the first reason why it even, like I started this call saying that most people, because they swing around their weights, maybe you don't do it this extreme, maybe you just do a little bit of that stuff, but it already takes away from the different engagement of your muscles that already is required or already is enough. Even the small motions from your hips, from your body. If you do some, like here, even this pressing motion, a little bit, and too much, for example, spine movement or something like that, that's already is not properly controlled. So when you start to rotate the cuff exercise and you experience the results and benefits, it's really because you're actually starting to, for the first time, do something correctly and you start to engage muscles well. But make sure that even in your main training, you start to apply this correctly. You start to apply the quality in the training there as well. That's what we do in our main training. And it's why I don't even need this kind of exercises very often to do, because all the rest of the stuff that I'm doing is actually so beneficial. And this is what I want you to experience as well. If you're doing constantly training and you're like putting these bandages in there, you're adding like a little bit of this exercise, a little bit of that exercises, you're gonna get some results. But in the end, it won't help if you're constantly causing troubles in your body with what you're doing. Like if you're essentially don't have any, let's see here, like if you're honestly everything, like most of the exercises, even your bicep curls are like something like this way, right here. Your pressing is like this way. Your rows is something like this way. It's not gonna help. Like this kind of small stuff, it's only a band-aid. Make sure that you put in good stuff into all of your training. That's really gonna create an incredibly solid physique. And that's what we're always trying to share in our training programs, that we try to share these methods, we try to share these principles, we try to share these things that are behind the exercise that actually make them work and create the results. This is, over the years, this is the number one thing that I've noticed actually creates great results that also keep your body healthy in the long term. So think about your now training life, reflect on your training that you're doing nowadays. Can you see these mistakes that I've shown here? Can you see that there's something perhaps to improve? And especially if you're experiencing pain now, I recommend you act now. Don't be like me, because I waited for some time when I started to get these issues in my body, and I spent tons of time into fixing them because I didn't have the answers on how to immediately improve my training from that point onward. Didn't have this knowledge, didn't have these methods. I now do, and I wish you actually use this knowledge to your advantage from this point onward, so you don't cause all of these troubles in the future as well. So guys, make sure you train with good quality and keep training in that manner. As always, stay strong.